coaches have been fired in the NFL?
10. Yeah.
I'm not going to get started with that situation. I'm not going to get started with that situation.
My house.
Yeah, I'm not going to get
the house in Prime.
Make sure ain't got nothing. Make sure ain't got nothing around here.
We have proof.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Is this the hockey jersey? Is it? I still.
Let's get to the Atlanta Falcons, who have hired Kevin Stefanski. This one's interesting. The Kevin Stefanski sweepstakes was pretty bountiful. He interviewed with a bunch of teams. This is one of those, I bet you this works out better than what you had before things. He was a multi-time coach of the year with awful ownership in Cleveland with the Haslams. He gets fired, deservedly so, possibly there, because they've been so bad the last couple of years. Didn't have a problem with the decision, but it doesn't mean he's not a good head coach. Same with Harbaugh, right? So now you get to go somewhere else and try to start over new. He goes to Atlanta.
The entire NFL world is talking about Deion Sanders' recent statement on Kevin Stefanski's hiring by the Atlanta Falcons. When questioned about the Falcons' coaching predicament during the morning run, Coach Prime famously said something that brought back memories of the 1990s. I live there. However, this is what makes this situation completely crazy. I'm not going to get started with that situation, which tells you everything you need to know about how he really feels, Prime stated, declining to go into further detail. Tommy Rees, meanwhile, just followed Stefanski to Atlanta, leaving Cleveland in total disarray without an offensive coordinator or head coach. Additionally, this hire is driving Falcons supporters crazy. Shador and Shiloh Sanders are living their best lives abroad at a fashion event in France, totally unaffected by the NFL crisis back home, while all of this drama is taking place. Allow me to explain why Coach Prime's enigmatic statement has far more significance than you might imagine, and the implications of this for Shador's future.
Might actually be calling Deion Sanders. Don't miss out on this scenario, the report we have for you guys today. And then guess what? Baker Mayfield called out Kevin Stefanski on Twitter. We're going to look at both of these stories on today's show. You're going to love this one, but let's get your instant thoughts in the comments section. Should Deion really be a candidate for the Cleveland Browns head coach job? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Just give me one letter in that comment section if you think the Browns should at least consider Coach Prime.
Atlanta is peed off, ladies and gentlemen. Atlanta is very upset that Stefanski got the job in their home city. And I've been seeing stuff all day with people talking about it, but like I said, make a video about it, so let's just talk about it. Browns offense coordinator Tommy Rees is expected to join Stefanski in the same role in Atlanta. Cool.
Hey, how you all doing? Coach Prime just gave us one of those timeless, multi-layered Deion moments, so we need to discuss what happened in Boulder. Additionally, if you are familiar with Prime, you are aware that there is much more going on behind his brief and cryptic statements. Let me now set the scenario for you. In Boulder, Colorado, the morning is ordinary. The pregame performance, a special thanks to Big Dog Chico and the entire team there. With the morning run, they're doing their thing, covering every aspect of the Colorado Buffaloes. And who arrives? Coach Prime himself, of course. Now, Prime doesn't just appear at these events at random without a purpose, does he? The man is cunning. There is a reason behind everything he does. The topic seemed inevitable given the NFL's coaching carousel, chaos which has resulted in 10 coaches being fired around the league and teams frantically searching for a new head coach. In particular, the Atlanta Falcons appointed Kevin Stefanski as their new head coach and appointed Tommy Rees as their offensive coordinator. Now, allow me to quickly educate those who are unfamiliar with the past. Atlanta football is Deion Sanders. The man was selected in the 1989 NFL Draft by the Falcons, where he rose to prominence and elevated the team. In an iconic video from the 1990s, Prime is shown raving about Atlanta while standing in the Georgia Dome and declaring, "This is my house." That legacy was created by him. Atlanta's football culture is what it is now because of him. Prime's trademark smile appears on his face when the hosts question him about the Falcons' coaching predicament. He responds, "How many coaches have been fired in the NFL?" In response, someone says, 10. Prime then lets it go. I won't even begin to discuss that circumstance. Take a moment, then he smiles and adds, "My home."
But we know the Atlanta Falcons fans are not happy, bruh.
That man, that guy, that myth and that legend is the Atlanta Falcons head coach. Atlanta, what the fuck are y'all doing? What is this? Why? Y'all think this is a good picture? Look at this class reunion photo.
Hey, buddy, the delivery, tone, and manner in which he spoke, traditional prime time. He's reminding everyone that he still has ties to Atlanta and acknowledging his heritage there, but he's also making it very clear that he's not going to get involved in the politics of what's going on there. To be honest, that's probably the best thing he could do, because let's face it, it becomes a whole other story if Prime begins discussing the Falcons' hiring of a coach. It is used by the media. All of a sudden, everyone is inquiring as to whether he believes Stefanski is the best option, whether he's interested in an NFL position, and whether he should have received a call. It starts to detract from the work he's doing at Colorado. Instead, he gives them just enough to remind everyone of his Atlanta background before saying, "I'm not going to get started with that." Vintage Deion Sanders that are astute and strategic. But allow me to explain why this is more than simply a humorous soundbite. Because this has a lot to do with Shedeur Sanders' future, and the timing is crazy. Falcons supporters are in disarray, so let's discuss what's really going on in Atlanta right now, like truly heartbroken. The head coach of the Atlanta Falcons is Kevin Stefanski, who was sacked from Cleveland after years of poor performance, dubious play calling, and a failure to develop Deshaun Watson. The identical question I'm posing is also being asked by Falcons supporters. What? Have you seen the reactions in the clip? The fans are hot. One fan literally stated, "Out of all those people you interviewed, Stefanski was the best option. I'm tired of this." "This man is a loser," says another. "He's been losing over the past few years." The annoyance is real, because Atlanta supporters were looking for someone who could take their talented roster and genuinely push for the playoffs, someone new and exciting. Rather, they received a retread from Cleveland, who's bringing with him Tommy Rees, the same offensive coordinator who failed to develop quarterbacks in Cleveland and contributed to the offense's apparent stagnation.
Charisma, he's not a good fit for developing the young quarterbacks. So I didn't have a good relationship with Shedeur. They didn't. You could see every time they asked Sanders about his relationship, he says verbatim, "Yeah, it's my coach. We're growing." It's not there. It's not there. He's never been good for developing quarterbacks, and I've said this on the show day in and day out, this season especially. You're seeing it now. Baker Mayfield's confirming it and backing me up. And I know some of you are going to say, well, it just shows how immature Baker is.
Tommy Rees's resume appears attractive on paper, doesn't it? He worked with Nick Saban at Alabama, attended Notre Dame, and briefly played for the Chargers and Northwestern. But allow me to ask you a question. What has he truly accomplished in the NFL to demonstrate his ability to lead a productive offense? What quarterback has he developed? What creative plans has he introduced? Not much is the answer. And for that reason, when Cleveland supporters learned he was departing, they rejoiced. They said, "Thank God, finally we can get someone who actually knows what they're doing." Atlanta is currently taking on the same issue. For Shedeur, however, here is when things start to get interesting. Because the organization is currently in full reconstruction mode after Stefanski and Ree left Cleveland. A new head coach is required, a new offensive coordinator is required, they require a fresh perspective on their aspirations. In fact, the upheaval and uncertainty are providing the ideal conditions for Shedeur to possibly land there. Consider it. Cleveland's new head coach will want to bring in their quarterback. They won't want to be burdened with Deshaun Watson's contract and all of its implications. They will want a new beginning, a young quarterback they can develop around, and someone who can represent the team for the ensuing 10 years. And who is the ideal fit for that description? Shedeur Sanders. However, there is another aspect to this that is not being discussed, so let's return to Coach Prime's statement. Prime discreetly reminds everyone that he has NFL origins when he remarks, "That's my house," about Atlanta. He is aware of the requirements for success at that level. He won Super Bowls, played in several places, and was inducted into the Hall of Fame. So Prime can refer to his own legacy and say, "I've been there," in response to questions about whether Shedeur is prepared for the NFL or whether Prime's coaching at Colorado truly translates. "That's what I did. I know what it takes." And Shedeur is picking up that swagger, confidence, and belief system. It's evident in the way the kid conducts himself. It's evident in the way he responds to pressure. You can see it in the way he handles all the criticism and commotion that comes with being the son of Deion Sanders. In relation to that, let's talk about Shadour's current location. Because where is he in the midst of all this commotion surrounding NFL coaching? He is having the time of his life while attending a fashion event in France with his brother Shiloh. When Complex caught up with them, they were talking about clothes, their sense of style, and how they both got their swagger from primetime. And I adore that for them, since it demonstrates that they don't care about the NFL turmoil. They're not freaking out over draft projections, coaching changes, or anything else. They are focused on having fun, building their brand, and getting ready for whatever comes next. In the interview, Shiloh even makes a joke about Shador having a better closet because he has more free time now that the season is finished. Shador chimes in, they both have swag. They get it from primetime, and his dad used to wear anything Shiloh tried to wear. It's funny, it's real, it's genuine brotherly energy, and it gives them a human face that many NFL prospects are unable to show.
The news is Shador Sanders and his brother Shiloh Sanders being overseas at, I believe this was a Miri event, if I'm not mistaken. I believe him and Shiloh was, I think, in France at this clothing event that took place. And they had talked to Complex. And let's pull this up real quick. Let's share this here. Shout out to Complex, man.
Shiloh, he has a better closet for sure.
However, don't be fooled by the relaxed atmosphere. Football is Shador Sanders' obsession. He's just astute enough to understand that you can't live and breathe football all the time without burning out. You must maintain equilibrium. You must relax. You need times like this when you're young and traveling abroad with your brother to promote your brand. When he enters the NFL, the league will put him to the test so that maturity and perspective will help him. The media will attempt to discredit him. He will be rattled by opposing defenses. However, he can handle anything the NFL throws at him if he can withstand the strain of playing for his Hall of Fame father at Colorado, when millions of people monitor every move, analyze every throw, and criticize every error. Let's go back to the Kevin Stefanski case now, because there's something that people aren't understanding. The Falcons are unhappy about Stefanski accepting the Atlanta position and bringing Tommy Rees with him, but Shador may benefit greatly. This is the reason. Cleveland is now making a fresh start. Everything is totally new, including the coaching staff and offensive scheme. And additionally, historically, clubs have sought to add a quarterback who can develop with that system when they undertake such a thorough revamp. Someone who is youthful, gifted, malleable, and untarnished by years of poor coaching or bad habits. Shador Sanders is that person. He leaves Colorado with exceptional arm talent, exceptional processing speed, exceptional leadership skills, and his father's coaching background, which gives him an edge above most rookies. A quarterback who has been tutored by a Hall of Famer since he was in a diaper will be selected by any team. A quarterback who is familiar with the subtleties that most rookies need years to grasp, such as protection calls, route concepts, and defensive systems. And Cleveland ought to be all over that if they're intelligent. They have to be contacting Coach Prime right now to inquire about Shar's availability for pre-draft meetings, his exercise regimen, and his medical examinations, because they may actually have a shot to turn that team around if they can select Shador in the draft and match him with a capable head coach and offensive coordinator. However, this is what worries me about Cleveland supporters. They have a dismal history with quarterbacks, like the worst in history. Over the years, they have squandered numerous gifted quarterbacks due to poor coaching, offensive line play, and supporting cast. Shador Sanders traveling to Cleveland and receiving the same treatment is the last thing I want to witness. Coach Prime is watching all of this, which is why his silence about the Falcons situation is so intriguing. He is making notes about which groups are stable, which are dysfunctional, and which would be suitable for his son. And you can guarantee that Prime will have some influence over whether or not Cleveland selects Shador on draft day. It has happened before with other prominent prospects. John Elway forced a trade to Denver by refusing to play for the Colts. Eli Manning treated the Chargers in a similar manner. Bo Jackson told the Buccaneers that he would not sign with them. Coach Prime has the power to prevent Shedeur from being selected if he believes Cleveland isn't the best fit for him.
Didn't text him after running him out when he did more for the city than what other quarterback in the past few decades? What other quarterback? We beat our division rival in Pittsburgh. The most electric season I've had as a Browns fan was 2020. And you just forget about that because of a shoulder injury. Gave up on him too soon, the stability that we had. As if you were the answer to Stefanski and not Baker. That's why we're in this mess right now.
And to be honest, I admire that, since in the end, this is about preparing Shedeur for success rather than merely getting him into the NFL. He can be drafted by any team, but not all teams are able to develop him. Not every team possesses the facilities, coaching, weapons, offensive line, and organizational stability necessary to fully utilize his abilities. I believe that Prime is considering Shedeur's future when he adds, "That's my house in Atlanta," but he doesn't go into further detail. He's evaluating the terrain. He's reminding these NFL teams that he is more than just a college coach. It's his prime time. His son will soon follow in his footsteps as an NFL legend. I want to hear from you now. Do you believe that "my house" comment was a message from Coach Prime? Do you believe he may be subtly interested in a future position with the Falcons? Above all, do you believe Shedeur Sanders is a good match for Cleveland, or should he wait for a better opportunity? This coaching carousel will have a significant impact on Shedeur's destination, and with Stefanski leaving Cleveland and taking Tommy Rees with him, the franchise is in transition, which may be advantageous or disastrous. One thing is certain, though: Shedeur Sanders will be all right. The child has the greatest mentor in the world leading him through this process, and he's prepared and skilled. Because of his unique build, he will excel whether he ends up in Cleveland, Atlanta, or somewhere else. And that's why Sanders' DNA never fails. Ultimately, Coach Prime's succinct remark regarding the Falcons' hire of Kevin Stefanski was priceless. It kept him out of the NFL political turmoil while simultaneously serving as a reminder of his Atlanta heritage and demonstrating his devotion to the city. It's also evident that the Sanders family knows how to handle these circumstances with grace and style, because Shedeur is living his best life abroad, totally unaffected by the coaching drama. Cleveland has a huge chance to truly rebuild after losing Tommy Rees and Stefanski, and Shedeur Sanders needs to be the focal point of that reconstruction if they're wise. However, we'll see if they truly take the appropriate action or if they mishandle this opportunity like they have so many others. Click the subscribe button and enable notifications if you want to be informed about every Shedeur Sanders development, every Coach Prime moment, and every detail of the NFL draft drama. If you believe Prime was using "my house" line to convey a message, please let me know in the comments section below. Since this story is only getting started and you don't want to miss what occurs next, please let me know where you think Shedeur should end up in the draft.